Hey, what's going on, guys? JTK here. Welcome on back to another video. In this one today, we're going to be doing another comparison video. And for this one, instead of doing the two arguably best maps like we did on the last one, this one is going to be comparing quite possibly the two worst maps out of all of Treyarch Zombies, which is going to be Die Rise and Transit. Now with this one, obviously we're going to have the same kind of format as we did with the last comparison video. So it's going to be kind of comparing 5 different topics. Each topic is going to be giving 1 point. And then at the end, we're just going to add it all up. And then, yeah, whatever has the most points wins. So our 5 topics are going to be map layouts, mini bosses, weapons, replayability, and then the Easter eggs. I think these 5 things overall make a good Zombies map and is what we're going to be using to rank these 2 maps. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now moving into our first category, this is going to be the map layout. Now, first off, we'll start off with Transit, and Transit is very bad when it comes to map layout. First of all, the big issue we got to discuss is that the map is overall just way too big. It takes forever to get from one area to the next without using the bus, and even when you do use the bus, it can be very unreliable because it leaves at random times, and it's just overall not that good. I would say though that it's not too bad compared to many other maps because yes, it does take a while to walk around the entire map or to walk from one area to the other, but there are multiple options that are given to you, like you can use the teleporters when you get the denizen on your face, then you like knife it towards a telephone pole or whatever. You can use that if you want to get around the map a little bit quicker, but overall not too good when it comes to the map layout. Now, if we look at Die Rise, however, the map layout isn't really too much better. First of all, you have all the elevators, shafts, and all the elevators that you have to take, which overall just don't really work too well on Die Rise. I find myself constantly getting lost whenever I am in those elevators, and I just don't really like using them at all because they do constantly have that randomness effector like the bus has, where they're not too reliable to constantly take. There is an elevator key kind of buildable that you can pick up, but it's not really that useful. You can only use it once, and then it's kind of done forever, so it's not really that useful either. So overall, I would say that obviously both of these map layouts are horrible, but I would much rather prefer Transit map layouts. So for that, I do think Transit is going to be getting the point for this one, just because there's a little bit more options. Granted, those options aren't really that good, but they are better than the one simple option that is on Die Rise. So for that, we're going to be giving Transit the point for map layout. Now, moving into our next category, this is going to be the weapons. Now, with Transit, the weapons are very underwhelming. First of all, you have the Wonder Weapon, which is going to be the Jet Gun. And the Jet Gun overall, we already know is just a very bad Wonder Weapon. I mean, you get it and then it breaks like 10 seconds later if you hold it down for too long. And then you have to go around the map and get all the parts again. It's just a huge hassle for something that's not really that good. Granted, it does do infinite damage and technically has infinite ammo, but just the ease of use is not there, and it's just way too hard to build in the first place, way too annoying to get, and overall I just don't really like this Wonder Weapon whatsoever. And in terms of new weapons, there aren't really that many. I guess you can count all the new weapons that they added in for Black Ops 2, but compared to any other map, there isn't really that many new weapons on Transit or any Transit specific weapons in general. You do have some traps, which are kind of cool, but not really useful. You're only going to be using the turbine to kind of turn on the power and open up doors that you need to open, and overall don't really like much of the weapons selection that is on Transit. Now, Die Rise, on the other hand, has a phenomenal selection of weapons. First of all, you have the Wonder Weapon, which is the Sliquifier, which is very solid at killing zombies. You can take it into the higher rounds. Early 100s, it's very solid, and it's used a lot for the Easter egg as well. Overall, it just does a lot of damage, has a really cool, unique effect, and it holds a lot of ammo, so you can use it for whatever situation that you're going into. Not only does it have a really good Wonder Weapon, but it also has great wall weapons as well. You can use the AN-94, which is a very solid wall weapon. You also have the SVU and the PDW. A lot of weapons that were added in on Die Rise were actually very solid and can compete with any weapon that there is on Black Ops 2. So for that, I do think that Die Rise for sure definitely wins the point for this one. I don't think there's any debate about it. Just the weapons on Die Rise are uncomparable compared to the ones that are on Transit. So for that, definitely giving the point to Die Rise for weapons. Now, coming up next is going to be the mini bosses. Now, the mini bosses on Transit are pretty bad. First of all, you have the denizens, which are very, very annoying to handle with, especially when you're walking through the fog. It's just not really a fun time whenever you do have to deal with the denizens. They just make the map a lot more difficult, a lot more annoying, honestly. They're not hard to kill or anything, they're just very annoying, and they can be manageable if you do have a Bowie knife or the Galvanuckles, but even then, it's not really something you want to go through every single time you walk through the fog. Now, the next mini boss that is on Transit is going to be the Avogadro. Now, the Avogadro is a very, very annoying boss to deal with. Very similar to the Denizens case, where it's not really that hard to kill, just more so annoying to deal with. They spawn in on like the much later rounds. I think like round 10 or 11 whenever lightning's striking. Then you have to turn on the power or something. It's very dumb the way that it works. But you can see them whenever you do turn on the power for the first time on the map, which is a pretty cool. There's like a cool little animation you have to go through. Not really that cool when you have to get to the bus in time, but still pretty cool nonetheless. Overall though, I wouldn't say that the Avogadro is a very unique or cool boss. You can throw an EMP grenade at him and he dies, or you can just melee him a couple times and then he dies. Very, very niche boss compared to any other boss that's in zombies, and overall I wouldn't say any of the ones on Transit are that good. Now, moving over on into Die Rise, there isn't really that many mini bosses. In fact, there's only one really, and that is going to be the Jumping Jacks. Now, the Jumping Jacks are very annoying to handle with because they jump around all over the place. Very hard to shoot them. But if you do build the trample steam and you get 100% accuracy with all your weapons and whatnot, then you can actually get a free perk, which is actually really, really good. And is the only thing that I'm going to put above the Denizens and the Avogadro, because those two don't really give you anything, while the Jumping Jacks on Transit, they give you a max ammo. And if you can keep that 100% accuracy, like I said before, then you can get a free perk as well. So for this category, I'm also going to be giving Die Rise another point. Now, for this one, it wasn't really that close. I do think that Die Rise overall just has the better mini boss. Granted, it's not really that good. The Jumping Jacks are just kind of Nova Crawlers that jump around the roof and whatnot, but they are miles better than the Avogadro and the Denizens. So for that, definitely do think that Die Rise deserves the point for this one. Now, moving into our next category, this is going to be the replayability. Now, the replayability on Transit is a lot higher than many other maps. First of all, you do have multiple Easter eggs, which is a very, very huge point that many people miss out on. Granted, both of those Easter eggs do kind of suck, but it's the fact that there is two of them that you can constantly go back to play through, which does make it a little bit better than most other maps. Transit is also a really big map, so there's a lot of area that you can explore, like the little Nocturne Totem area that's in the corn maze. That's really cool, especially for some useful parts for the jet gun and whatnot. There's also a little lumberjack hut that you can go to as well if you're playing through. You can get the Bowie knife, which is really useful if you're going against the Denizens. Overall, there's just a lot of replayable area that you can go through in Transit, especially if you're just an explorer and you just want to go through the map and explore it and whatnot. It can be very, very fun, very replayable in terms of that. Now, Die Rise, on the other hand, doesn't really have that much replayability compared to Transit. First of all, there isn't two Easter eggs, there is only one. Granted, I do think that the Easter egg is going to be a little bit better on Die Rise compared to Transit. We'll get to that in a minute. But overall, though, I wouldn't say that there is much replayability with Die Rise at all, especially when there's not that much open space to begin with. There's not really many areas that you can explore on Die Rise. You can pretty much get the whole map opened up using the bank system on like round 1, or even if you're not using the bank system, you can open it up really, really quickly. Maybe like round 3, you can get like most of the majority of the map opened up. Not really that big of a map to explore and replay through. So for that, I do think Transit is going to be getting the point for this one. Very, very close with the replayability, because I would never go back willingly and play either of these maps, but I do think that Transit has a little bit more going for it, so it's going to get the point for the replayability. Now, moving into our last category, this is going to be the Easter eggs. Now, the Easter eggs on Transit are very, very bad. First of all, you do have the Richtofen and Max's side of the Easter eggs, which is very cool in terms of lore and whatnot, and they do make sense and kind of wrap themselves together when you get to Buried. But overall, when you're playing on Transit, it doesn't really seem that useful. I mean, one of them you're lighting a pylon, on the other one I'm pretty sure you're doing the same thing, and the steps themselves are really, really bad, especially if you're playing on solo. low. It can be annoying to get the max ammo to spawn in, and then you have to throw like 2 stun grenades, and then you have to hope that you get lucky with the teleporters so that you can transport to the right spot, throw them at the right time, and then just kind of continue on. And just the steps themselves don't really make that much sense. Like how you have to use an entire jet gun to generate enough power to this tower so that you can get, I don't know, something. Doesn't really make much sense, doesn't really add up to anything, doesn't really reward you that much either. So for that, I don't really like the transit Easter egg. Now on Die Rise's point of end, don't really like this one either. Granted, it's a lot more manageable because you do have some team working activities like standing on the elevators with these symbols and whatnot. You do have the tile step, which can be a little bit annoying. Don't really like that step at all, but it is a lot better than most of the steps that are on Transit. Not as annoying as the EMP grenade one, which is just completely and utterly stupid. But other than that, though, I don't really like Die Rise's Easter egg that much either. I will say, though, that I do like one of the steps where you have to, like, shoot these balls with, like, the entire liquefier. I just think it's a little bit funny, a little bit goofy. I know a lot of people don't really like that step, but for me, I just think it's pretty cool. But overall, I would say that Die Rise barely gets the point for this one. It's really, really close again, but I do think I would rather have one decent Easter egg than 2 really bad Easter eggs. So for that, I am going to be giving the last point to Die Rise for this category. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this video for today. We're going to pull up the last scores right now. As you can see, Die Rise does have 3 points in the lead with Transit with only having 2. And I would say overall, Die Rise does beat Transit in terms of just points, but in terms of just what I personally think as well, I do think that the weapons on Die Rise just make it a much better map and experience overall. And for that, I do think that Die Rise is the better map. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this video for today. If you did enjoy it, definitely leave a like, subscribe, do all that. You already know what to do. Leave a comment down below if you want to see me do any other type of videos. And go down in the description as well. Check out Lucian Johnson's TikTok, Joseph Quintana's TikTok, and of course, the Comfy Cushion podcast. Always got to put those in. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.